Welcome back to the Nullified Take channel here on YouTube, where I've got the TNT takes for you on Australian Survivor Heroes vs Villains episode 16. That's right, I'm back. But before we get into the top 5 takes, please consider subscribing, please consider liking and putting the notification bell on so you can know the next time I go live or drop one of these top 5 takes. Also, just to let you know, if you are a fan of Survivor 44, I also did my top 5 takes for Survivor 44, which I will be sure to link at the end of this episode if you are watching the US Survivor as well. Alright, let's get into the top 5 takes here for this episode. Takeaway number 1. Who would have known that KFC would be the thing that gets George to finally win a challenge, an individual challenge where he gets paired up with Haley in the game, and they have to stay up on these poles with little perches for their feet, and as they go down the pole, it gets harder and harder. This is a classic Survivor challenge that we've seen play out many times, and it always benefits smaller men or women. Anyone who has got smaller feet and less weight to keep up on those poles, they normally do pretty well in this. But I still didn't know if George could pull it off. He had an absolute gun with him there. And Haley, she is someone that is extremely good at endurance challenges. And he did rise to the occasion this time, beating out Jerry and Shonny, who were the two people that were in there the longest with them. Hats off to Jerry. Did absolutely insanely well for an old guy being up there and someone that also had a bit of weight behind him. So I was very impressed by Jerry's performance here in this challenge. But they win this challenge. The KFC is theirs. And obviously, JLP is going to make it hard on them. He's going to tell them that they have now got a choice. They can choose one more pair to come with them on this challenge. Now, I do think that they handled it extremely well in saying that, hey, it's only fair the team that got the closest to winning this with us go out there and enjoy this reward with us, and they choose Jerry and Shonny to go with them. The counter argument to this is that if you're sort of worried about someone in the game potentially flipping and going against you at camp, you take the person with you that you don't know if you can trust them staying at camp with the enemy. And in this case, it probably would have been Simon, because George has been worried about Simon this entire time while he's been working with their alliance. And obviously we're going to see how that plays out in the rest of the episode. But also wanted to say, beautiful reward setting. They get to eat on top of this hill out in Samoa, and they go down this water hole, spend some quality time together, and obviously this alliance of 7 people and the 4 within it, they're at an all-time high in this game right now. They feel like nothing can go wrong for them here. Alright, takeaway number 2. So while all of this reward is happening away from camp, Sean sees this as the perfect opportunity to have a conversation with Simon, something he's been trying to do for quite a while, but he's been trying to do it when nobody else notices it. And he tells Simon, Nina, and Sam that he's got an idol in the game. It's a secret that he has held for over 22 or 23 days at this point, and probably is a record, because normally people can't keep a secret in the game. They're all very shocked, and Nina asks him, when did you find it? And he says it doesn't matter, which should tell them he's had it in his pocket for quite a while. But this is ammunition, something that they can use to get Simon's vote on their side. And Simon has been waiting and wanting to make a move on the king since the beginning of the game. So to him, this is absolute music to his ears. And he tells them that he can't make his decision right there and then. He will sleep on it. But we do see a conversation happening between Sean and Simon later at night while Simon is lying down in the hammock on the beach. And Simon says that he's in. They want to become Kingslayers, or more so Simon wants to become the Kingslayer. I feel like he's seen people with nicknames in this game, like you've got the Joker, you've got the King, you've got the People's Champion, you've got the Golden God, the Cookie Monster. So he just wants his own name, his own nickname, and the Kingslayer would be a pretty freaking badass name. I can't wait to see who actually does become the Kingslayer this season, but I don't think it's going to be Simon. And yeah, this alliance gets formed, and the plan is set in motion to go after the king. But we know that it's not that easy to go after George in the game, because George has played this game now twice, and no one's been able to do that. He is just so bloody good at reading and predicting other people's moves within this game and always being 2 or 3 steps ahead. Takeaway number 3. there's a little bit of trouble in paradise when it comes to the king and queen in this game, and I am loving it. Now, we all know, if you followed my channel when George and Hayley played the first time, I was the biggest George fan. I always respect Hayley as a player. I think she's a great player. But I was gutted for George when he didn't win that first season. And obviously he made some mistakes. Socially, he wasn't as good. He couldn't humble himself when he got to the final tribal council when people were asking him questions. But Hayley lets us know in no uncertain terms that he has modified his game. Not only is he this brilliant strategic player that he was in the first season, but he's now also got a social game, and he's really running a tight ship with everybody moving in unison. We haven't, I think, seen an alliance as tightly managed as the one that we're seeing currently here with George's alliance in this game. And she says that if he makes the end, there's just no way anybody can beat him. George is that confident at this stage in the game that he is willing to go to the end with a previous winner in Hayley, someone he has lost against before, and he wants to beat them at the end. Now, if that is a smart thing or not, I don't know. Because in my mind, for a winner to get back to the end, you have to respect that. I'm not out there playing the game. I don't see everything. So I don't know what conversations are being had on the beach and why he feels so confident he can beat Hayley at this stage. But even Hayley is fearful of this. She says, yes, he wants to take me to the end, but she knows that he wants to take her to the end to beat her. And she does not want that to happen. I think her worst nightmare is for George to beat her in a final to set the record straight based on what happened in their previous season. So Hayley now is open to making a move against George. This is a real friend of hers. This is someone she's friends with outside of the game, but this is how much Hayley loves and respects this game. And you can't help but respect the fact that she is willing to go after him in this game to become the biggest player of this season. So obviously Hayley has some conversations here in this episode. She talks to Nina and Sam at various points in the game. And she tells Sam she's open to working with him. Sam says his door is still open and he's flexible. But the big bit of information that gets passed onto this minority alliance is by Hayley. She talks to Nina and says, if you guys have got an idol, you need to play it on Sam tonight. She gives clear and correct information, but she's playing a high-risk game, which means that she can only pick and choose the times that she can talk to this alliance on the other side, because George is so good at reading when people are trying to turn against them. So because of the fact that she can't really solidify this information or really give them any extra clarity, it does actually blow up a little bit, and it doesn't look like anybody trusts Hayley at this stage in the game because she has turned her back on the OG heroes. Moving on to takeaway number 4. At the immunity challenge, which again, a classic immunity challenge where they have a bit of rope that they've got to keep tension on. As they grab puzzle pieces and move back and forth, they've got to spell out heroes versus villains. And Simon, the cat, may be his new nickname now that JLP has decided to hand out some nicknames in the game. He does end up winning this immunity challenge quite impressively. Everybody was struggling. And he celebrates extremely hard, but he celebrates with the enemy. And George is so in tune with these little things at the moment and what people are doing in the game that he says, Simon is going to turn against me. I can tell because he feels safe. And now he is celebrating with the likes of Nina, Sam, and Sean. Nothing gets past him. And he's immediately on alert. And I love the conversation when they go back to the beach and they start talking about where will the votes go, because they have 7 votes against 3. They can now split it for 3 just in case there is an idol. And Simon wants to make sure he votes for the majority vote. So for wherever they're going to vote somebody out, he wants to be a part of that 4. And George says that is the final thing that makes him suspicious of Simon, because that way Simon can change his vote. And he reads the game so well at this stage. And as Simon walks away, he grabs his whole alliance and he says, come here, come here. Simon is turning against us. He's going to go and join the OG heroes. And you can just tell that the rest of his alliance are like shocked. They did not read it. George is running at 200 miles an hour where everybody else is thinking at 100. It's almost not fair for George to play the game with everybody at the moment because they're just not at his speed when it comes to reading and knowing what is going on in the game right now. But George has proven himself so many times now in the game that the likes of Shani and Liz and all these other players, they're not even questioning his logic because He has had it right when they have had it wrong. So they're like, okay, what is the plan? How do we mix it up? And he says, the new vote is now Sam, we're not going to tell anyone. Obviously, Haley tried to tell someone, but it didn't work out in the end. Takeaway number 5. So the Minority Alliance is in a lot of trouble. They need to find something that's going to keep them in the game. They've got one idol, but wouldn't 2 idols be great? Everybody online said, production is going to give George this idol. There was a lot of tinfoil hat conspiracy theorists out there. And surprise, surprise, production does not meddle in the game like people think they do. And Nina finds the idol. And again, like I said, the idol, I love how they hide it in this game. It is not as colorful and out there as Survivor US, where they just immediately want you to get it easily. You actually have to work for this one, and you've got to look very carefully. But Nina is so excited. I couldn't help but be excited for her. Finding her first idol. She's like this little kid that wants approval from Sam and Sean when she does find it. And it was so endearing to see. But now they've got a big decision to make in the game. They've got a 75% chance of actually saving one of them in this game and causing a massive upset by voting out George. And I think if they did get George this episode, the whole game would have changed, because George has been running that alliance like a really, really tight ship. No one's going anywhere. They're steamrolling at this point to the end, and he's the glue that keeps this group of people together. He's handpicked them, like he said this episode. So sadly, I say sadly, but in some ways I'm actually pretty happy, because I am a big George fan, but it doesn't work out for them. They go to tribal council and Nina plays the idol for herself. I've got a feeling Simon may have told them that Nina could be that vote, and that's one of the reasons why they felt like they needed to play it for Nina. And Sam and Sean have a decision to make. Sean walks up with the idol, and Sam is begging him, play the idol for me, I think I'm going home. But Sean says, mate, sorry, I'll buy you a case of beer if I'm wrong, and he plays it on himself. You can't blame Sean for this, because, at the end of the day, this is a game for $500,000, and that is his safety in the game. But, in hindsight, man, Haley told them, and they still couldn't get it right. I don't think there's any hope for this Minority Alliance. I think Nina and Sean is in a lot of trouble, but maybe by this betrayal from Simon and Shani clearly noticing the handwriting for George, Simon has potentially played him out of this game. If he doesn't win immunity next round, we have seen that this alliance can take things very personal. I would not be surprised if Simon jumps ahead of Sean and Nina and gets voted out next in this game. Those are my top 5 takes here for this episode. What was yours? Comment below. Let me know what you agree with, what you don't agree with. And for now, I'll catch you guys next time when I talk about episode 17. And have a great day. Talk to you later. Bye.